Hi, Recent Revelry, back with some more MMORPG news, and this time it's on Embers Adrift, which is, funnily enough, our last video last week. Because since the video announcing that the game has come into beta, they've also given us a bit of a sort of tutorial video and what to expect with beta coming forward. But I thought I'd give credit where credit is due and give MMORPG.com, where I found the article, at least their credence for now, before I jump into having a look at the actual video. Obviously, it goes over from, like I said last week, with the rebranding the game from Saga of Lucimia, that Stormhaven have now pumped out the game into a beta position and obviously released the NDA. But Eloa, the community manager of Stormhaven, has produced a video, which we are going to watch, highlighting some of the changes that are being brought into the current beta. There's a few little short list here, a few of which we may go over when I'm actually looking into the video, because what I'll be doing is taking a selection of my 5 best moments, what I've reviewed and what I want to talk about with what I find interesting about the Embers Adrift video, and going forward from there. But we can see that the video includes elements for character creation, specializations, equipment and abilities, zones, enemy types, harvesting and crafting, and grouping and social, which is obviously quite good to find in an MMORPG, especially an older style one that Embers Adrift wants to go for. So, starting off with character creation.
This is a prototype, and more improvement, more option will be added in future. In particular,
so first of all, I 100% love sliders. So that's the main thing I love about this game. The fact, at least with the character creation in itself, is the fact that there's a lot of flexibility with how the character creators is. Obviously, they're saying a little bit future in the video, which I won't show here, that they actually will go into more of adding details for actual faces, etc. But for now, even with this level of customization, it's actually pretty good. Because realistically, a lot of games don't even include a height slider, which is a thing that I'd actually love to see in more MMORPGs, because flexibility is king. They do also go in at further down this point, that any changes for your character will actually be free without paying money or actual real life currency, and that you can simply do that option from going back into the menu and getting it sorted. So that's absolutely perfect. Then we move on to the next part, which is roughly around 31 in there, where they go over the classes.
Each of those specialization incorporates some aspect from another role. For example, defender and supporter become a knight. Defender and striker become a juggernaut. Defender and controller become a marshal. Yes, indeed, controller is available, but as a specialization.
So what I can best describe for how this game actually produces and does its classes is that you can pick one and then pick another. Very typical to an Arcade, sort of, or Ashes of Creation, what they're going for the design, where you pick an initial or you pick a second one, and that then rolls into what can be considered as a sort of generic mishmash, and that's where they get their sort of class balancing from. On the MMORPG article, which I will link below, someone's actually made a link on that article to a forum post on Stormhaven's own forums, which actually gives a breakdown of what individual classes, if you go for a striker with a support, what you're going to get if you go certain varieties. So that is a pretty good breakdown as well. For next on, we're going to go talking about regions, which is at 3 minutes.
Aim to encourage players to explore, hunt, and trade with each other. At the moment, the selection of regions is still limited, but this will be expanded as we are exploring and going further into the beta.
So, I mean, it just sounds like a little bit like a generic sort of aspect of regions, but however, it is quite nice that they are paying specific attention to how, if you go out to certain areas and find certain mobs, find certain things. I mean, it's a very much a traditional aspect of MMORPG development, which is cool that they are paying so much attention to it early on. Which leads me quickly on to the aspect of how they actually divvy up the sort of varieties in the combat. So just as a sort of notice, we're back for that, then they are dividing the difficulties up initially by chevrons and then by color level. Now, one chevron, which I will let them go on to now, actually, rather than describe it.
It means it's soloable. If there's 2 chevron, it's aimed for a small group of 2 or 3 players. 3 chevron mean that the content is aimed for a full group and a good combination of roles.
So as they said there, 1 chevron solo, 2 chevron small group, 3 chevron full group. It then obviously elaborates a little bit more on the fact that if you are doing this sort of content, then the level or color of the character / NPC name is probably going to be the decisive factor then, you know, the general sort of aspect that we've been used to for some time. So it's a pretty good sort of system. At least it's a very, very easy to understand from the outset, especially given that sometimes you could walk into some creatures that will just absolutely floor you despite being the same color as you, same color, sort of white, you know, equal level, which is kind of good. We are going to move on to now where they actually describe the introduction of something that I found particularly interesting as well. So this is just as a sort of notice, because I accidentally did a little bit too quickly on the recording, that this is a notice for their first initial dungeon called the Central Vein.
Group of level 4 to level 6 players. Obviously, you can tackle this content when you're a little bit higher or a little bit lower, depending of the composition of your group. You will find 2 different entrances, one situated at the west of the map and one situated at the east. This is a public dungeon, it is not instanced. If there are several groups, you may cross another group in it.
One of the main reasons why I love this idea, apart from the aesthetic of the dungeon so far, because it looks absolutely amazing, is the fact that it is a public dungeon, 100% open, and the variety of older styled sort of MMORPG dungeons, such as go harkening back to EverQuest, which I fortunately haven't had the opportunity to play, but the idea is certainly something key to me, because it's taking the instancing out of the world and actually putting the world back in the world, which is another reason why I love it as well. And finally, I'm going to go on to my personal favourite aspect of this video, which is this lovely little shot we get here, starting around 7:52.
We have different work in progress, several zone, as well as dungeon, quests are currently being worked on and will be implemented through the beta. Note that some...
Personally, and I'm sorry I cut Elo off there, I am 100% in love with the sort of the variety of different zones they've got so far in the regions, and just that panoramic shot, because it absolutely sort of harkens back to that adventuring aspect and looks really good despite the fact the game is only coming into beta. So I would sort of touch wood, it's looking good for Stormhaven with this release. I'm certainly going to be interested in getting in on the game eventually once my time schedule frees up a little bit more, but until then, I'm definitely going to be watching this game with earnest. So if you've managed to stick around, I'd wholeheartedly suggest go and have a look at the video itself, which the link to this specific one will be down below as well, and just to make your own mind up on it. Other than that, it's been Recent Revelry. Thank you for watching. If you have liked the video and this little update into some MMORPG news, feel free to like and subscribe and follow the channel. I'm also live on Twitch on Mondays, Wednesdays and Thursdays from 6:30 PM GMT until around 10:30. Other than that, catch you around soon, and take care. Hi, it's Recent Revelry, and thank you for watching the video. If you've enjoyed the video, feel free to like and subscribe, because it really helps out the channel, and it will help me decide on what you guys want to do, and what you want me to do, and, you know, actually angle the channel towards what is going to come out. If you are interested in other videos, feel free to look down below, and if Reese has timed this right, it'll have the other videos there, or at least a playlist, or another video, maybe an icon. Other than that, take care. Hope to see you around.